our next topic is the education and school choice. So how would you address teacher and staff shortages in Kansas? What is your position on school vouchers or other school choice policies? And how should the state balance those with funding for public schools? How would you ensure students with disabilities receive adequate services?
So public schools are obviously the most accessed education systems, prior to universities and us community colleges. So that is where I mean, that should be the one of the biggest departments the federal government is funding. We see a lot of kiddos with IEPs nowadays. I know the kids I've worked with, if they did not have those IEPs, they would not be successful. Most of the kids I work with have IEPs, and it's because, you know, foster care is tough. It's hard being in the system. It's hard being away from family, especially being a kid and trying to work through that trauma. They need that extra support at school. And the kids that have IEPs based on learning disabilities and things like that, why would we punish them by taking special education programs or funding away? I mean, we just throw these kids to the side instead of trying to help them develop. Our schools could not make it without special education services. Um, our kids wouldn't make it. More kids than a lot of us realize need it. A kid with
Mhm.
just ADHD could
Mhm.
have a high IQ, but they will need help.
Mhm.
Um, we should never take that away from kids. Private schools need to have access to those kind of resources too. They need to fund them, but those are important for all schools.
Yeah, they can just choose to not let certain kids into private schools is the problem with me using tax dollars for it, right? If they were required to accept everyone that applied up to a certain number because they just only have so much space, then I wouldn't, I mean, maybe wouldn't have as much of a problem, but yeah, because they can deny people based on whether they're not the right religion or whatever they want, yeah, private
And
school.
when I say they should fund them, I do not mean the state.
Yeah,
The
no, I
parents
know.
that are sending their kids there,
Yeah.
and
Well,
that's who
it's
should
just
be
like,
doing it.
the argument that some of them make is that it would enable people that normally couldn't afford it to send their kids to private schools, right? But
Mhm.
I've never heard anyone say that. I've never heard anyone that's in the income bracket that is on the cusp of being able to send their kid to private school or something like that say, if I just had 12,000 more a year, I would send them to private school. Unless they're like, I've seen a lot in the autistic community. My son is autistic. He's 25. And he was diagnosed young. And then my youngest child is got ADHD. And so I've done a lot of IEPs and IEP meetings, a lot of advocating and fighting, a lot of strongly worded emails on their behalf. And I watched it get better and better through the years as they went through their education in Wichita anyway. So there's been
Mm.
improvements and they're doing the best they can with what they have. And but it is so important because they shouldn't have been thrown away. I think everyone
Mm.
deserves a right to an education.
Yeah,
And I don't think education's ever a waste.
never.
It's never a waste to educate people. And there's just people that are making that argument that some people that are severely disabled, just why waste our tax dollars educating them? It's like they
Yeah,
want to
and
get them
it's
back to being locked away and just put away. And I'm
yes.
just like, because the school's so much more
Yeah.
than just ABCs and one, two, threes and stuff. There's the social
Yeah.
aspect of it. It's where you make your friends. It's where you grow. There's so many more important things that happen throughout the education process, even in college, that have nothing to do with actually getting your degree, that
Yeah.
are just good for personal human growth, regardless of your IQ or your abilities. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no, we just don't value education like we used to.
No, not at all.